Hi, and welcome to Hope in the Light of Suicide. I'm your co-host, Bonnie Snyder, and look who's back, the one and only.
Tammy White. It's only been a couple weeks.
Tammy White, by the way, guys, the founder and CEO of the Bobby White Foundation.
Yeah, there is that, I guess. There is that. Yeah, I took a couple weeks off, a bunch of things going on at home. But first, we want to, of course, thank Rob and John with Area 52 Media Group so that we can be here again.
Do what we do.
Do what we do. But yeah, 1 week was I was having a meltdown week, and then last week I've been trying to get some stuff done around the house, and what was it? About 6.5 years ago. It was about 5 months after Bobby died that we had a hurricane come through, and in the middle of the night, it was when I had my broken leg. In the middle of the night, I hear this ba-boom. Get up on my crutches and go into the bathroom, and the ceiling above my shower is in my shower. Well, I had to sue the insurance company, and then just time and everything. I finally now that's the nice picture, because you should have seen it with all the gunky stuff. But we had a drop ceiling, and so I wanted to raise it to regular height. And so that's the ceiling. That was the ceiling last Thursday. And then Friday, by that time, we do have a new light. We have a ceiling that's partially done. Yeah, I did, what's that, shiplap on the ceiling. And we didn't have lights in the shower. Those two little spotlights are in there that we put up. And so we put up the shiplap. Now I still have to do the finish work around there, but it feels so nice to not have plastic and looking up at the up at the ceiling.
No, I love the light. That's really pretty. I mean, another thing too, the last couple of weeks we were out. It was one of those, I don't want to say fate kind of things, or things happen like right at the right moment, because I wasn't here. We canceled the 1 week because of my surgery.
Right. You had your surgery too, and
I was like, this is a perfect time to do this. So I was going to be gone. It was kind of like, thank you for injuring your knee.
Yeah, well, it was like, I just wanted to get it done, and it was finally getting done. Because there's like some of these projects, and I'm kind of like trying to get better at it, but it's changing things from when Bobby was here. And you've done it too. So I'll get to like so far, and then I freak out and stop. Like stop was 3.5 years, because that's how long ago I bought that light. But then I put in a new ceiling fan and did some moving around, and then my refrigerator was dying. It was going from 30 degrees to 60 degrees. So I had to get new appliances, and my dishwasher was going, and my stove was fine, and I felt really guilty about getting a new stove, but I went from white to stainless steel, and I couldn't have a white stove and stainless steel refrigerator and
that would have drove me crazy.
Dishwasher. Oh yeah, it would have drove me crazy too. But fortunately, a guy in our neighborhood, his dad, he's taking care of his wife who's pretty ill. Their stove died on him, like just before I was doing all this. So we were able to give them a stove. And my stove was fine. It worked perfectly.
Nice.
So we were able to... So then I felt better about buying a new stove.
Exactly. I mean, I did that with my... years ago, I had washer and dryer. And my daughter had moved, into a place that had a washer dryer there, and the washer kept breaking. And she was like, pay for the... And so I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's just get you, let's just replace the washer. She was renting at the time. And the guy that she was renting for, I loved him, amazing guy, very good. And I looked at him, I said, dude, you keep throwing money into this washer. I said, let me just get her a washer dryer set. You take your set out, and then, when she, moves out, if she ever leaves you, then, you want to put another washer dryer in then. But anyway, long story short, I went and I bought this washer dryer set, and it was like, wow, that's really nice. What I did is I upgraded mine and gave her the set that I gave her was like a year, it was even a year
Right.
old, or 2 years old, something like that. But I just, upgraded my, this, I still have this set. I was like, I'm giving her the brand new stuff.
Yeah, I still have one more to the washer. My washer and dryer is getting ready to go to, and actually the dryer's fine. It's the washer, and I think I know what's wrong with it because I did fix it once, but I just really don't feel like fixing it again. So
Yeah, there comes a time where when you're throwing money into stuff, and it's like, do I want to do this again? But what you're saying in terms of like, replacing this and making changes, and things look different than when in your case when Bobby was home, and things looking different in my house when Pat was there. I found the whole remodeling the house to be very cathartic. And I had put off, for, and I know we've shared this before, but I'd put off, for quite some time, even going in. Like, I would walk by his room, and it was hard for me to go in the room. And over time, for me, how it happened is I would go in his room and I would sit on his bed. And I would just, take in the whatever emotions or feelings that I was having. That okay, this is still his room, this will forever be his room, and he's not coming back to, like, he's not going to physically be in the room anymore. And after a while, it got to a point to where I was like, okay, and then I'm like, all right, I want to make sure that his stuff is protected. And so I started, all of his, this tote that's like, I think I tell you, he collected those eggs, so I have all of his puzzles and his eggs in this one box, and all of his eggs in one basket. Little joke there. But no, seriously, then I was like, okay, so let me put all of his, and then, all of his cards, 200 decks of playing cards. I have that in there, and I was like, okay. So little by little, then I was like, okay, let me, put his clothing away, so that, I mean, just a closet, but, stuff that's, and then, it got to a point to where eventually I, just completely pulled everything out of the room, and it's like, all right, now I have to take the TVs off the wall. And, I mean, for me, when I did the remodel of his room, I want to say it took me several months, because I would, like, go in, like, one day I would go in and I would, like, let me pack this one dresser drawer, and then I would, walk out. The next I would do another one, and then, I would go in and I would paint one wall. All right, I'm done painting today, and I'd leave, and I'd go in and paint the next wall. And his room has, it's I don't say it's a weird shape, but the way his room is shaped, it actually has 5 walls because it has a corner wall. And then, I'd be like, okay, so now what am I going to do today? Oh, today I think I will start putting the carpeting down. And, like I said, and it was a process, and when it was all done, I remember, like, stepping back and looking at this room, and I could hear him, like, in my head saying, I like the room. I love what you did with it. And a lot of his stuff I put back on the wall. And one thing he had was like, there's the headboard, sits here, the bed, the foot of the bed faces the door. And above the door, he had this clock. This clock is about this big, and it's digital. But he had that, up on the wall above the door. And so a lot of, some of the things that he had, I put him back in its same place. The only thing I didn't do was remount 5 TVs. It's like, no, we're not going to do the 5 TVs. But anyway, long story short, I'm in my bedroom one evening, and all of a sudden this alarm is going. I remember it was a morning. It was one morning. The alarm is going off, and I'm looking around because I don't set an alarm clock for myself. I mean, I wake up naturally. Where's this alarm coming from? And I happened to go in the room, and the alarm above his door was going off. And I'm like, I didn't set the alarm. And so I had to get up. I turned the alarm off. And I was like, okay, son, time for you to get up and go to work. And I went back to my room and do it. I don't want to say it was for the next, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. This alarm would go off every morning, and I'm sitting back, it's like, all right now, dude, look, it was one weekend, it was one, like, all right, I know I'm up, but dude, I don't have to get up, like, I don't have to do anything, like, why are you setting the alarm off for me? And, I took it as that was his way of, saying I'm still here, and I like that. And speaking of still here, I want to take a moment to thank Laura, our guest of last week, for stepping up and doing an amazing job, sharing her story about, her daughter Brooke and her husband Gene. So yeah, she did amazing. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I wish I was here with Bloody Marys.
The things we do on set sometimes.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I'm still, we're forging ahead, with the stuff at the house because, of course, one of the rooms, the main front living room, the room if you come in the front door is the foundation office. And so we're putting it in, new cabinets and shelving and flooring. And Bobby and I had done the floors in 2 of the bedrooms. And I really had loved that flooring. But it was, I don't know, 10 years ago. I mean, it was a while ago that we did it. And of course, you can't get it to match. So I actually have spent like 2 years trying to match this floor. And I finally, it was like, okay, you can't, you're, because to me it was like, I wanted to keep the floor because it's something that we did together. And I loved flooring. So I finally came to the realization, you don't have to keep the flooring. I'd rather have all the floors flow through the house. If I keep it, I might put it in another office. But so the kitchen is in the process of being done, and just finally, it's like I think it's just the flow is ready, and it doesn't feel so bad. Partly with the appliances going, and I say to myself, well, if he was alive, we'd have to get new appliances anyways because they're breaking, So going through these changes right now is good, and it's it's coming up on this will air tomorrow, which April 1st, which will be 32 years since we moved in that home.
Oh no.
32 years ago, we moved in. We drove up from Fort Lauderdale the last day of March, parked the U-Haul in front of the house, closed on April 1st, was at the house at 1 o'clock. All his family was there, and by 4 o'clock, everything was emptied into that house. And
So your house, you've been in it 32 years?
32 years.
Wow.
32 years, yeah. And then of course, which for a long time that was like, okay, April 1st is a good day. I'm not a fan of April Fools, but my mother-in-law ended up passing away several years ago on April 1st.
See, I have a different connection with April Fool's Day because that is the day Patrick, listen to me. Carl, my oldest, he's an April Fool's baby.
Oh, he is.
He is. And,
Oh.
And it's and I sit back and I look. This is 2020. This is 23. So it's hard to believe. Yeah, he will be 42.
Wow.
I have a 42.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, no, the running joke, with him, because I went into labor with Carl like the end of March, so I was actually in labor, for like 6 days before he was born. Yeah, it was complicated. Pregnancy was complicated, and I'd been on muscle relaxants. I won't get into my medical history. But like I said, all 3 of my pregnancies were complicated, and. So I didn't know, of course, it's my first kid. I didn't know what to expect. But anyway, oh, Lord. I was like, all right, well, because they'd said, well, this is when your due date was. So, thankfully, what we got him, at least to the due date. I wasn't fortunate with my daughter. She was very premature. And I think Patrick was a little early too, but the three of them, I couldn't get Gene to term, but luckily, like I said, thankfully got Carl to term. And those last couple of days were really rough. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I understand what labor pains feel like, because these are, they were intense. I mean, and I'm pain tolerant. So anyway, at 1:30, and I might have the time wrong, he'll correct me. It was about 1:30 in the morning, he makes his appearance on April Fool's Day. And so, fast forward today, I look at him and I say, if someone walked into the living room and said April Fool's, I would have told him you're lying, because these pains are no joke. But Carl lovingly says, about being born on April Fool's Day. And I was like, Carl, look, I was in the hospital for a little over a week, trying to give birth to you. And he goes, Mom, I was in a hospital. I was wet. And hospitals are cold. You didn't give birth to a fool. I had to stay in and stay warm as long as I could. Whatever. So yeah, April Fool's, April 1st is a different, it's difficult. I should say difficult. That's not the word I want. Navigating a certain like for me, Valentine's Day,
Right.
you think, oh, this is a day of love and happiness and cookies, chocolate and flowers, and, let's go out to dinner. And, for me, it's like, yeah, it still means to a degree all of those things. That's also the day that we lost Aiden.
Right.
And I think for me, what I find, again, I'm going to use Valentine's Day is, and I'm trying to remember, Greg had given me this really big mug. It's it's a huge oversized mug, and it says you and me equals us or something like that. But anyway, I love the mug. But he didn't give it to me on Valentine's Day. He gave it to me, like, I want to say the weekend before. Now, to his defense, we live 2 hours apart. And it's like, I'm not going to see you on Valentine's Day, but I'll give you this to you now. He goes, but I also know that you don't celebrate Valentine's Day. And I'm like, true. I was like, and I said, but I want you to understand, I didn't really celebrate Valentine's Day when Aiden was here. So it's like, I really don't want to change, so there's really nothing that needs to be changed about Valentine's Day with Aiden being gone, except for I don't work on that. I take that day off. And, it is a day that, I reflect on, this is the day that my grandson left.
Right. Well, yeah. For me, it's the whole month of April. And I've tried this every year, and the first couple of years I didn't work pretty much during that month, and I have tried in the past. And last year, I just made the decision that I'm not having any expectations for myself for April. We've got, the anniversary when we moved into our home. Then next Saturday, April 8th, is the day that Bobby died. And then the 29th of April is when we had his celebration of life at our home. And in between, April was just, it's weird for our family because we've had, I think, both my mother-in-law and father-in-law passed away in April. And their anniversary was in April. I think one of our uncles, Bobby's Uncle Bobby, he passed away in April. And it's just, but the thing is about April, and this happened the year that he died, and I notice it because Bobby had the most gorgeous blue eyes, is that many of the days in April, you look up at the sky has this blueness to it that it doesn't have any other time, especially when there's no clouds, and it is just this blue. And we noticed it intensely right after Bobby passed away. Just sitting in front of the house with a couple of his friends, and we're just like, man, just look how blue that sky was. And it was at a time of year that Bobby really liked, because he was a land surveyor, so he worked outside, and it's like the nicest time of year in Florida to work outside, knowing that summer's coming and it really sucks in the heat. But so doing these changes right now and taking the time to do it, and it didn't, it kind of wasn't like really intentional, the timing. But after, losing my mom also, last year was the year to kind of like work on myself. And this year is the year to work on myself and do the things at our home that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. And now it's just like the flow and the timing is coming, I get, when it's supposed to. To me, that's the universe works that way. And that's what I believe in. It's just it's easier. It's not like when I started painting 3.5 years ago, the foundation and office room, and moving in through the rest of the house, and then I freaked out and I stopped. Okay, I haven't touched anything in 3.5 years. Now let's go. It's not. I don't get that. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain the feeling, but it's kind of a pain, and it's just weird. But it's not that now. So it feels better, and it's like I'm going to pretty much have a brand new house in the same house by the time I'm done.
Well, I would say, are you following my lead? Because I'm, pretty much, with the exception of my kitchen and, the bathrooms, I've completely remodeled every room. And then I'm looking at my kitchen. I was like, all right, you're next. It's like, what do you want to do? And I was chuckling when you were like, time to buy a new refrigerator. It's not that I need a new fridge, but it's like, you know what? I've had you for, it came with the house. I've had you forever. And I look, my stove I had before I moved here. I don't know how old my stove is, but, it just works perfect. I think with me and throwing things away, as I'm looking, as I'm like doing my weekly, let me go, tootle around in the garage, because it's my hobby. But I look at things and I'm like, what is this thing? What does this go to? I have the first clip. All right, junk box. And I'm thinking to myself, I could hear, Patrick, Mom, throw that away. You don't need that. Like, what do you, and one time he looked at me as we're, and again, repeat, why do you keep this stuff? And I felt myself asking, like realizing it before, he left, why do I have a lot of the stuff that I have? And he would ask me, Mom, why do you have this stuff? Like, what is, and it's not like it is, like I'm not a hoarder, I'm a pack rat. To me, there's a difference between hoarders and pack rats. And I, professionally speaking, there's a difference between hoarders and pack rats. Just throwing it out there, folks. But no, I'm very much a pack rat, but I look at things like, what was the perfect thing? The mop that I use for my house. Some people like the sponge mops. I'm not a fan of sponge mops. I like the, old-fashioned mop with the string, with the strings.
The rubby, yeah.
And so I had one of those. And I'm trying to know the old-fashioned one that you have to wring by hand and whatnot. I love my little, little mop. And I remember one day Patrick came in the house and I'm washing the kitchen floor. And he looked at me and he was like, really, Mom? He was like, you need a different mop. You need a better mop. And I'm looking at him. I was like, I love my little mop. He says, Mom, you really need, this is a little.
Mm-hmm. Hey, it does the job.
It was an average size mop. It was a little mop, and it worked just fine for me. It washed the floor perfectly. But no, Patrick, So he buys me this. It's like, do we say brands on TV? It's like that. But anyway, so he buys me this O-Cedar mop. And it's the one that, hands-free. It's, you twist the handle and it wrings the mop out and everything. And it's got, this big poofy head on it. And he comes home, one day and he hands me this mop. And he was like, I bought this for you, Mom. And I'm looking at it, I was like, you bought your mother a mop? You know? And I mean, no, and I mean, it was one of those like, really, son, a mop? Are you trying, But I knew, but I knew the
Right.
sentiment behind it. So he was like, yeah, Mom, he was, you and that little mop, just something about this little mop drove him crazy. So anyway, I started using this mop, and I was like, you know what? I really do like this mop. My hands don't touch the water. Not that, that's what soap and water is for afterwards, or, I'm old school. And because the mop head, was bigger, it washed to me. I was like, oh, this really washes the floor really nice. Well, anyway, last couple of years ago, I was like, last year, I'm, in the kitchen, and I'm washing the kitchen floor. And I didn't realize that the handle to this mop was metallic. It was kind of, and I'm washing the floor, and I, go back, and I went, forward, and the handle snapped, down by, the mop head. And I'm looking, there's this mop head on the floor, and I've got this mop handle in my hand, and I'm like frozen in time for a couple of minutes. I was like, how did my mop break? And I looked at it, and I guess, over time, it just developed, it's metal, so it developed some rust. Mop isn't supposed to do this. Didn't O-Cedar think about this when they made this mop? Like, I caught the dickens trying to throw this mop away.
A broken mop.
And I'm like, so I remember I posted, I was on my social media page, and I'm like, guys, I'm like, and I was like, I'm having a moment. My mop just broke. And of course, people are thinking, why are you having a moment? Because your mop. And I was like, no, you understand. Patrick bought me this mop. It was something that was from him. Mm-hmm. And I had one hell of a time throwing this mop away. It was that. Last weekend. No, let me tell you, some month. So last month, okay, so before the surgery, I was, cleaning the garage and whatnot, and I had this handle and this mop head. I just, so let me just put it out in the garage. It's like one of my friends said, is there something, you're crafty. Can you make something out of it? And I was thinking to myself, maybe I can. And in my head, I can hear Patrick say, Mom,
throw the mop
away. So needless to say, I was able to finally, discard of this mop. I don't know if I think I have a picture of it somewhere, but I'm like, but yeah, it's things like this, like moving on, like.
I had something similar with a vacuum, because, and he kind of got hell for this. I don't remember if it was for my birthday or Mother's Day or for something. Bobby bought me a vacuum. And I was like, really? A vacuum? Which, you use a vacuum all the time. One year he bought me a cement mixer, but I like that. But this vacuum, the cord, they had the automatic cords that pull out and stuff. Well, it wouldn't stay out. Mm. And so, like the last several years, and I'd tie a knot in it, and it still would pull back in. And I had purchased another vacuum before he had passed away, and I liked it, but I couldn't get rid of this vacuum. And finally, it was too much. And I was just like, Tam, because when he bought me the vacuum, I think it must have been for my birthday, because then when his birthday came up, I bought him a toilet.
A toilet?
Yeah, a toilet. Like, if you're going to buy me a vacuum for my birthday, you're getting a toilet for yours.
I'm sure there's a story behind this toilet.
Well, the toilet, we needed a new toilet anyways, but I was just like, if you're, a vacuum for my birthday, come on, which is also our anniversary. So I just couldn't resist. I had to buy him a toilet for his birthday.
That's funny.
But yeah, it's, and when I'm cleaning out our shop, and I found when I started doing this, which like you, I have to do it over and over again, I started finding out that we have multiples of the same tools. Like, I'm thinking to myself, okay, why, Bobby, do we have 3 soldering irons? Why do we have 3 of these? You can only use one at a time. And I didn't know it until I started going through all these things. So I shake my head and I'm like, why do we have 3 of these?
You know,
Why do we have
I would
2
look
of
at
these?
I would look at you and say I totally understand where you're at because you know, some people don't, you know, may or may not know this about me, but I was a mechanic in the military. You know, well, my early military days, I was a mechanic, and then I finished out my career in military police. So I told myself I went from MP to MP. What do you mean MP? Went from the motor pool to military police, MP to MP, or I was always MP. Anyway, I had this little toolbox, you know, and after, you know, it's like little by little, it's like I couldn't get anything else into this little toolbox. And so I decided last summer, I'm going to upgrade my toolbox. So I went from this little, you know, toolbox that, you know, probably stood, you know, maybe up to here on me to I have a, you know, 6 foot tall, you know, 12 drawer, you know, a real toolbox. I told myself I was going to get one. And anyway, so, you know, because it has, you know, 12 drawers in it, I said, you know, I'm really going to be getting, you know, touch with, you know, the OCD tendencies that I can have. And each tool is going to have its own drawer. You know, so I have a screwdriver drawer, I have a hammer drawer and whatnot. So to your point, as I'm cleaning the garage and I'm throwing stuff in the toolbox, I'm looking. Why do I have 12 hammers?
We have half a dozen at least.
Why do I have 14 screwdrivers? Okay, why is it I have 14 Phillips tip screwdrivers, but I have a hard time finding the flat ones? Why do I have, you know, 8 different socket sets? Now, in my head, you know, part of me is rationalizing, you know, 1 or 2 of these sets may have belonged to Patrick. You know, why do I have like 4 battery operated drills and, you know, 1 that you plug in? Why?
Oh, I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Marketplace. No,
But then
see.
too, I can't get rid of those old tools. You know, I had to replace the, and he said he bought it for me, but weed eater. And it's he liked the steel, which it's long, you know, and Bobby was 6 foot tall, you know, and he's like, oh, I bought this for you. And I was like, it's almost as tall as I am. Well, I had to get a new one because it broke and I didn't feel like fixing it. So I put it up on the shelf and it's like, okay, I'll fix that one day soon. The same thing happened with the blower. So went and got a new blower, but put the old blower up on the shelf. I have his, and these tools are old. I mean, we bought these like when we first moved into the house. His radio circular saw. And it's heavy, you know, the old ones. And I was like, oh, I'll get one of those new littler ones, battery operated ones. But it was up on the shelf. and I'll still use it, but it's just, yeah, we have duplicates of.
Oh, yeah. I have multiple duplicates. But I tell myself, yeah, yard sale.
I can't do yard sales.
Nor can I. You know, there's been a couple of times where, like, we've had our neighborhood, you know, yard sale. And I've not done it. I think Devin one year, you know, asked his dad. It was like, oh, we're in a neighborhood yard sale, and his thing was, he wanted to, you know, take part in it, and you know, get rid of clothing, you know, like clothing and shoes and toys that he didn't play with and whatnot. And so we told him it's fine, you know. And his thing was, like, he was going to sell this stuff, and, you know, whatever money he earned from his stuff, you know, we would do. Like, I'm sure if I go up in my attic, there's stuff in my attic, you know, from when the kids were, like, you know, babies. You know, my one granddaughter, she'll be 18 this year. I still have her bassinet in my attic.
Yeah, but see, that's something that you can hand down.
I don't think she'll have children.
Oh,
I don't think she has any desire to have children.
well, I tell you what, my mom and dad, there's four of us kids, and I'm the oldest. They made for us kids, and I'm the only one that didn't have children. I'll have to get a picture of it. They made out of wood, solid wood, cradles for each of the kids. And the one that my dad did, like the majority of it, my mom actually hand turned the spindles on it, and the spindles on each cradle is different for each kid. And my dad won blue ribbon and best of show with my cradle at the Chelan County Fair one year. So of course, you know, we're in Washington, and I've lived in Florida for 40 years. So my dad shipped me my cradle, but then on the kind of like, I guess, the headboard of the cradle, they put different things on there for each kid. Well, mine is 2 cats. And my cats have used it. And it's like, okay, what am I going to do with this cradle? And I move it from room to room because, you know, we never had children. My nieces and nephews here, no. Right now, it is holding yarn. But eventually, maybe I'm kind of thinking that my great niece, maybe Haley, I might give that to her when she's old enough. She just got her driver's license, so we got a few years to go.
Gotcha.
Hopefully. But that's the only thing I can think of, and it's like, gosh, what am I going to do with this? I don't have space for it. I have a bunch of pictures of my cat sleeping in it.
Oh yeah, VHS player. Why am I holding on to a VHS
I have
player?
one of those too.
I have a couple of them. I'm like, why am I holding on to this?
Well, you know, they said some of that stuff comes back. The only thing is the VHS tapes, they disintegrate. So,
Yes.
so it's not, you know, really going to work that well. But yeah, going through this stuff is, I mean, it's good. I mean, you know, fortunately, we do have the memories.
Yes, we do.
You
Yes,
know,
we do.
which is good. So, well, we had a meeting this week with, we met up with Gabriel.
We did. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, Monday. No, couldn't have been Monday.
When did we do it?
No.
Tuesday? No, Wednesday.
It was Wednesday because that was my
Wednesday.
first official day back to work. Was
Right.
Wednesday.
So he's working on a new video, music video. Is it rap?
I think it
I
is
think
rap.
it is.
Yeah, technically it's rap.
So he's working on getting that all finished up. And we did share his first one a couple months ago. So we're gonna get him on. He's a counselor at Pepin Academy.
I think he
And
was
it's-
hoping that the video was published yesterday.
Yeah, I don't think so. I haven't heard.
I know he said as soon as he got it, he was going to. So if you
Yeah.
haven't gotten it, it's.
I haven't
probably
gotten it
didn't.
yet.
Yeah,
And I checked this morning because when I was doing the stuff for the show, he hasn't gotten it yet. But I did send him the logo for Ian's Way.
Okay.
So that'll be attached to that. But I'm looking forward to that. So, and some more collaboration with him. He's so cute. He's just so excited about
Yes.
getting the community involved and sharing his ideas with the community, and I really like him.
Well, what I like about what he's doing with this music video is he's providing a message about a topic that needs to be talked about. But it's being done in a way that is that reaches or that talks to people. Like it's one thing to sit back and have a conversation with somebody. And it's like I'm not trying to hear what you're going to say, or it's like, do I have the right words to convey the message that I want? Versus, we were talking about this when we were meeting with him. Sometimes we listen to a song and we become, caught up in the beat of the song, like, hey, I don't like rap. I'm
I'm not.
not a rap person. And when I tell people, it's like I just, like of all the genres of music, rap is not my thing. However, it depends on the song.
Right.
Just saying. Anyway, with that being said, I mean, there are times with music, and again, I love this approach that he's going at it is, you're into the song, and it's like, okay, you got this beat going, and you're vibing to the beat, and then, you listen to the words, and you start humming the words or learning the words, and after a while, you find yourself walking around singing this song. But in the back of your mind, you're not really focused on what is the message? What is the message in the song? Until, you've sung it enough times, you've heard it enough times that you're like, when someone says, do you know what that song is all about? And I've had that happen, a couple of times where I'm listening to a song and people have asked me, have you really listened to the lyrics of that song? And I'm like, I know the song. I could tell you lyrics. And have you really, really listened, to the lyrics? And then you sit down and you listen to what's being said, and it's like, wow, that's really powerful. Again, he, had also shared that, this particular video was a direct result of, their campus losing someone as well. And, I listening to his, how he was, in his particular, work capacity, not hearing this child say anymore, good morning, Mr. Gabe, or, seeing that, child smiling on campus. And, basically it's like, okay, guys, it's time for us to wake up, yeah. I have this, of course, for some people when you go, this woke culture, as they call it.
Yes.
To me, it has a totally different meaning than what some people are making it out to be. I think we need to be awake. We need to be knowledgeable as to what's going on. We need to stop closing our eyes that there are, issues and situations that affect us. We need to open our eyes that there's a, suicide affects us, in all walks of life. As a veteran, we lose a veteran, every 22 minutes is it? I was reacting to, this latest school shooting.
Gosh.
We have, today is the funeral of one of the, little girls, but, 2 9-year-olds, lost their life in, here's let another, three, I'm sorry, yeah, 3 9-year-olds. 3 9-year-olds, lost their lives in, this shooting. The funeral for one, is today. I think it's happening as we speak. And, I get somewhat frustrated when the conversation becomes more about here they go again, they're going to take away our guns. Nobody's taking away guns. It is, let me fast forward from that, because I don't want to get on a tangent with that one. Let's open our eyes to recognize, the mental health issue that we have going on, where, wait a minute, did mental health play a part in this last shooting as it has in some of the other shootings? It's, well, the gun didn't kill the person who had the gun did it. All right, you know what? I'll let you have that, but we're failing to address the bigger issue. Let's look at the fact that we have an addiction issue here in this country. Let's look at the fact that we have, a homeless issue that might lead to, a mental health issue that might lead to someone dying by suicide. I'm on a soapbox. Let me get off.
No, it's very true and relevant. I mean, when I heard about this latest shooting, I just cried. It's, I don't know. I was watching, I like to watch Daily Blast Live. They're out of Denver, and one of the gals, and most of their team on the set have school-age children, and the one gal, Sam, she had to get up and walk off. She's so upset and frustrated, as you know, we all are. I have, you know, you have, you know, school age kids. My youngest, you know, I have nieces and nephews that are going to school. I have a nephew who's a school teacher, and their little boy just started kindergarten, and I haven't talked to my sister because I can't bring myself to talk to her and see how they're doing and how, you know, they're dealing with this, because it boggles my mind. My neighbor, her grandsons go to school in Denver. The last school shooting the week before in Denver was at the high school her grandson attends.
You know, I posted this morning, and I don't typically do this, but if one friend posted, and then I followed up with, let me see if I can find it. It was, let me do a quick count here if I can. You know, as it relates to, you know, come on guys, let's look at the things that we need to focus on.
Okay,
So
maybe it might be the same.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Since the beginning of this year, there have been 13 school shootings, which equates to one school shooting every week, just since January. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that list too. I mean, it just. I don't know. I just don't know when. We all have to wake up, and you know, these are politicians who are not doing their job. They just need to be voted out. And you need to be aware of who is for what. You know, there's that one guy from Tennessee who posed with his family for their Christmas photo with all of them, their young children holding assault rifles. That was their Christmas card. You know, come on, there is no reason for this.
So I'm sitting here and I'm counting, and I mean, I'm going to be counting for days because I'm looking. This is a very, you know, lengthy post. But, you know, as I'm looking at this, all right, and I'm scrolling, I don't know if we can see it from here, but I've counted, you know, just now, and I didn't think about this before, you know, but I'm up to 150 schools and universities.
And you're not even near.
And I'm not even near half, you know, and I'm like, I have a feeling that when I get done counting, you know, we're going to have enough schools that there will have been a shooting on a campus every single day of the year. You know, and I think, you know, someone, you know, it's, you know, started this post and they were like 25 years and counting. You know, and, you know, to your point, every time, you know, something like this happens, you know, one of my friends posted, and of course they were posting about something different. You know, it's a dark day in American history. It's about something else, mind you. But I'm like, correct. It is a dark day when we're focused on the stuff that don't matter. We're not focusing on the things that, you know, really, and people would like, Bonni, that's idiotic what you just said. Well, these things affect our lives, correct. You know, I get, you know, cost of food and gas and all that stuff. Yeah, that affects our lives. But at the same time, if there's no quality of life, you know, so you're looking at things that it's going to affect your lives, like, oh, I can't have my gun. No, it's not it.
They're
versus the quality of life.
Well, they're more concerned about that than keeping our children safe.
Right. Right.
You know, we have a generation of kids that are going to school that, like with suicide, is going to touch every single child. I saw a cartoon, which is ironic, even the word, of two children walking to school, and it said something like the little girl was saying, well, we only a few more weeks until summer vacation. And the little boy's caption was, do you think we'll make it?
Well, here's my thing with, when I think of, now I'm going to use, the gun laws, or this, this latest shooting. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm a veteran. Do I own a weapon in my house? No, I don't. And that's by choice. However, if I chose to own a weapon, and I'm not opposed, and again, I'm not opposed to owning a weapon. I just, just really have, I have no need. Like, I don't have time to go to a range. I don't live in a place where, I can go target practicing or anything. It's not like when I was in the military. It's like, oh, we're going to the range this week. Yes, let's go. Can't wait. But anyway, for me, I would much rather have to jump through multiple hoops and cross a bunch of T's and dot a bunch of I's, and make sure that, and be absolutely 100% vetted before I can walk out of, whether it's a store or, a gun show, with my legally purchased weapon. Because at the end of the day, I realize that that person that shouldn't have one is going through that same thing. And my thing is like, no, I'm not, I'm never be an advocate for let's take away guns. I am an advocate for, there are certain weapons that I don't think belong in people's hands. But then at the same time, okay, and again, I can go either way on that one, and I get it, bad people, are going to find their way around things. I mean, working in a prison, in Shanks, and are like, because sometimes in the most secure, the meme this morning, sometimes in the most secure places, people can find things to hurt you. Correct. But the difference between what we did behind the walls is we figured out ways to protect not only ourselves, but others. We didn't gripe about, oh, they're going to take away my freedom because I have to worry about a shank. I had to worry about that every time I walked, inside of whatever facility I happen to be working in. And I just wish that, with some of these topics as it related to mental health and safety of our children, that we took that same approach.
Well, and something that isn't also reported is the aftermath of some of these shootings, the suicides that follow, whether it be other children and parents, siblings, law enforcement. That happens also.
And unfortunately, when with any tragedy, when you have someone died by suicide as a result of whatever the tragedy was or the situation, and even that is minimized or overlooked. Well, it wasn't really because of that, it was because of this. Well, it wasn't because, or a different spin on, at the end of the day, guys, someone chose to end their life. They were going through something that put them in a place that was the only avenue that they had available to them. And instead of, again, the politicizing or, railing about your rights, like, why is it that your rights are more important than mine? Or why do I have to forfeit my rights because you think yours are more valuable and more important, Yeah.
We need a change of attitude in this country.
We do.
Attitude adjustment, big time. Well, we have a new date for our Freedom Boat Ride. It's going to be April 27th.
Cool.
It's a Thursday. And I believe the following week, or right around that time, we will have either the manager or one of the captains from Freedom Boat Club on the show. I think it's a really great thing that that they're offering to take us out to the stilt houses and just kind of have a relaxing and entertaining and educational ride for us. So we're looking forward to that. We'll have the information. We do have a waiver that needs to be signed, but I'll get I was looking for pictures to make a flyer. So I
Yeah,
can
and
get
you were
that
reading
done.
my mind because I was gonna, ask you, like, we have a date for our boat. We have a boat date now.
Yeah, the captain that I was speaking to had been on vacation, and she just got back to me, and she's like, "Oh, I didn't even think about that because originally it was supposed to be next week, which we've got Chasco and spring break, and there was just so much that it was like, okay, let's see if we can push it back." So, let's not forget to put our Lifeline numbers in your phones. The new 988 number is a text and call number, and just always have these with you. And our quote for today, I thought I'd be cute. I want to start my April by sending hugs and lots of love to my precious family and friends. I pray April showers you with peace, love, good health, and more happiness.
I love it.
I was looking for stuff, and I kept. No, this is the one. It's as much for me as for anybody else too.
It is. I mean, hey, they say April showers bring May flowers. Let April bring you, a lot of peace and joy. And as we close this out, and thank you for being with us. Always remember,
There's always hope. Thank you.